They were the heavy favorites going in. They delivered. Fnatic, again, we've highlighted those oddball picks, the oddball champions. They went with a very heavy brawl composition. Tried to pick fights. It didn't really work in their favor. Let's start with the Fisher.
Pretty much what you just said. I mean, they went for skirmish comp. They knew they were going to be fighting all the time. They tried to pick some champions who could snowball, maybe a Vayne. Potentially, if he got some kills early on, Reckless could try and one-on-one everyone, maybe get something for Fnatic. Overall, though, it didn't work. And just to touch on the thing we talked about with Source before this game, I just noticed him here in the end. He was actually smiling. His manager was smiling as well. I think they knew going into this game how hard it would be, and I think they were just glad to actually play against SKT.
Well, the thing about it, though, is that part of the composition, and we were talking about this on the desk while the game was going on, was that it was dependent on Nocturne ganking some of the side lanes in order to win these skirmishes. And the problem with using this was if we actually look at the composition from SK Telecom, Shyvana, Kha'Zix, Thresh, Sivir, and Nidalee, these are all high escape champions post 6, and the solo lanes will hit 6 before Nocturne will, so it's really difficult to use that ult, actually, because just the lanes themselves are very slippery.
So I don't think Fnatic were actually looking for big team fights.
No, just in terms of the ganks on the lane.
I mean, I think the Nocturne was just for, we're going to fight you one-on-one or 2-on-2, and then Nocturne's going to join in and try and turn things around. That was they could have picked Pantheon as well, for instance.
Right, but the escapes from SK Telecom, from all the lanes, made it very difficult.
Yeah, I believe Freak wants to chime in.
Yeah, but it's not just even the fact that they were escaping, it's the fact that SKT were picking fights all the time. An interesting stat from this game was that every single one of the carry lanes at 10 was winning for Fnatic in terms of minion kills, right? Soaz was up against his lane opponent, Peke up against his lane opponent, Reckless up against his lane opponent. Thing is, that's SKT giving up minions to go do other things. And Fnatic's caught in lanes killing minions, so they're up 5 CS, then, well, there's 4 Koreans in my lane, and they die. And it was like a bunch of that all the time, where SKT shows up and Fnatic's still farming minions, and they get caught out.
Pretty much ties in what I wanted to say here. If you compare just the playstyle of both teams and just any Western team compared to what's going on in Korea, it just shows how valuable analysts and coaches are, and how much more the game is going about how you play it and how good are you playing at like these micro level type of things. Like you could be the best mechanical player in the world, but you can just see that how much more important strategy is getting. If we go back to Season 2, when we were playing at a really high level, it was all about literally just, okay, we'll farm for 20 minutes. Whoever farms best is a really good player. Then we'll start fighting each other. Whoever wins that fight wins the game. It's no longer about that. So I just can't wait for the Western scene to get more coaches and more analysts.
Yeah, I have to just kind of completely back you up on that one. Jat was talking about Fnatic needs like a change, and to me it's like, well, yeah, get a coaching staff. You look at a team like SK Gaming, who's not necessarily the best individually skilled, but they rocketed to the top of the standings out of nowhere with a brand new lineup because you got guys like N-rated who are like, let's think about how to play the game properly, and this team skyrocketed in skill. I think Fnatic needs that as well, and the rest of the teams that want to compete on the world stage.
We'll have to see what they do to rectify their problems in terms of winning some of these bigger matchups. So just to reiterate where we're sitting in the tournament, the Taipei Assassins, they crashed out in the group stages, going 0-4. The only team they lost to was Fnatic, who have now crashed out in the semifinals. The only teams they lost to was, of course, the North Americans, who took them out, and obviously now SKT. I do want to highlight Bengi. Bengi really showed up in that series. He went 14-2-10 over his 2 games. This is a player that had very little positive impact over in OGN and in Masters and things like that. What's your take on Bengi and how he's playing?
Well, I mean, when we came in and I was talking about Bengi, I was highlighting how he needs to move away from more of a vision control style that he had at the Season 3 World Championships and subsequently, and move, because of the utility mid lanes these days, or mid lanes that take a long time to ramp up, like Nidalee, and the burden now falls to early game junglers like Elise, Lee Sin, Kha'Zix, these things that have a lot of kill pressure on the lanes. He needed to step up and get those kills, and that's exactly what he's done. I mean, it's really fantastic.
Yeah, really, really showing through. The rest of SKT not really showing any weakness in their play. We didn't really know what to expect from the level of SKT coming in, even though many considered, the majority of people expect them to be the favorites. What do we think in terms of SKT versus the opposition? Is SKT still in a slump, or are they still just that far ahead that even in a slump, they can beat some of the rest of the world's best?
I mean, you can't judge their slump until they play against Korean teams that actually punish these mistakes. I mean, a lot of the mistakes that SKT make, we probably don't even see. It takes like these very high-skilled, in strategy terms, type of teams to really start exploiting that, and it's just not here. If any team is gonna beat SKT in this tournament, it's gonna be OMG, and that won't be by outsmarting them. It probably will be by outplaying them in these skirmishes or just being out brawling them in team fights. But purely in type of quote-unquote macro-level strategy, yeah, SKT has everybody's number.
Well, we'll have to see how that pans out tomorrow. With that win locking down the semi-final, let's chat to two of the winning players. We'll head over with a quote from the classic Winnie the Pooh. "I wonder what Piglet is doing, thought Pooh. I wish I were there too, be doing it too."